I am back. What's going on, everyone? This is Coach Chris here with Knighton Runs Marathon Coaching. And I can't really believe it, but it's been 2 years since my last podcast episode. Um, I've been pretty busy and I took a bit of a break from podcasting. My daughter is almost 4 now, and I can't, yeah, I can't really believe this, but I've been doing Knighton Runs since 2019. So now it's been about 7 years. That's the longest job I've ever had. And yeah, I was hustling pretty hard during the first 2 years of my child's life, building my business up and making sure it could support our family. And got it to a good place. Then I was just feeling pretty overworked and needed to take a bit of a break from doing some of the content creation that I was doing. Um, we watch our kid most days at home ourselves, so we're doing a lot of parenting right now and really prioritizing being with her while she's young before she's in school. But she does go to daycare 2 days a week now, and this September, hopefully she's going to be starting pre-K full time. So I think I'm going to have a lot more time to do content creation and talk with my audience, which is good. Um, After doing this for so long, it's always it's important to find ways to keep it fresh and exciting. And I've been coaching my athletes throughout this break from podcasting, and of course, we're continuing to see a lot of athletes grow and improve as runners. But I haven't been doing too much content creation. So I'm excited to get back into it. All right. So maybe you noticed I just took a quick break and now I'm back. My cat was starting to meow and scratch at the door. So I had to put her in the basement. That's just kind of how it goes around here these days. Anyway, I'm back with the podcasting, and um, I'm interested in doing some of the same stuff that I did in my previous 80 plus episodes. Interested in maybe doing some new things here. I'd love to hear from you, the listener, if you have any recommendations for what you'd like to hear about. One of the interesting things with podcasting is you record these and you kind of just put it out into the world, and you don't always get that much feedback. But often when I meet people in person, they tell me that they really enjoyed the podcast and they got a lot of value from it. So um, I know people listen to this and enjoy it, but I don't always get the immediate feedback or too much feedback. Um, so any words you could share with me, I'd love to hear. Any suggestions, any topic ideas, that would be great because I know people get value from this. And want to keep it that way. And now that I'm back, hopefully I can provide you with a bit more value. I think I'm going to record one of these per week. It's going to be relatively short, like they've generally been. I think I'm just going to do solo shows, though I would be open to having a good guest come on now and then. It's going to be coaching focus. I'm going to talk about what is on my mind as a coach, what I'm seeing. With Knighton Runs, the way I kind of differentiate this brand from other coaches out there is really with the level of professionalism that I embody and the expertise that I have. From the beginning and even more so today, I mean, we're really trying to essentially be a professional level coach for the passionate amateur athlete. The folks that I coach, by and large, I want them to make running a big part of their life, and it's one of the key pillars of their life. But before being runners, they have a family first, they have a job first. But running is a thing that they're passionate about. It fuels them to be better in all other aspects of their life. And they want to make sure that they do it the right way. And the way I see me as the coach is it's through my professionalism and experience that I'm able to help them do that. And now that I've been doing this full time for like, 7 years basically, um, I know that I'm one of the most qualified and experienced coaches out there. If you know me, you know that I've never been too flashy with the content creation or online stuff. I don't. That's not really me. But what is me is, the folks who choose to work with me. I hope that we build this relationship where it's based on trust. They know that I am supporting them 100%. I'm readily accessible for them as they need it, and we're really a team that's going together to work towards their goals. Um, and it's that kind of spirit that I want to embody here in the podcast. So that's just a little bit about what I've been up to and kind of how I see this going forward. Again, I'd love to hear your feedback or any advice for future shows. But the topic that I did want to talk about today is what marathoners should be doing when they're not actively training for a marathon. One of the ruts that I think marathoners get into is just training for marathons and going time and time again, kind of doing the same thing, training for these races. It's important to break your season into, it's important to break your year into 2 seasons. So you'd have a spring season and a fall season, right? And this could look like training for the Boston Marathon in the spring, the Chicago Marathon in the fall. Depending on where those 2 races lie, you may or may not have much time to do any kind of non-marathon training in your calendar year, right? Like if it takes 4 to 5 months to train for a marathon and you're doing 2 a year, 12 months in a year, it's not a lot of time in there to not be training for marathons. But sometimes you do end up with like a month, 6 weeks, maybe 2 months to train for something different. And it's really important to take advantage of those windows of time to do speed training when they present themselves. So this is a little tricky to fit into a calendar year sometimes. If you're doing, for example, London, and then say you're doing Berlin, there's not a lot of time between those 2 races. Like you might just need to do London, take 2 weeks off, rest and recover, and then kind of just get right back into base building for Berlin. But say you're doing something like Boston and then New York. Boston's a week or so earlier in the spring. New York is like a month or 2 later. You may end up with a month or 2 in the summer where you can focus on something different. And that's where focusing on speed training is really, really important. Most marathoners have never really focused on getting faster. Most marathoners get into running later in life, not from school, but just picking it up, in their 20s, 30s, or 40s or later. That's what I did. And the allure of the marathon is so strong that they quickly move up in distance. Maybe they do a 5K, 10K half or marathon, but they don't maximize their potential in those shorter events before they move up to the longer events. They're just attracted to going the distance, going further. So they quickly get to a point where they're doing half marathons or marathons and focusing on those. And when people do this, they're prioritizing their endurance, which you need for the longer events, but they're not really building the biomechanics and developing their nervous system to actually run fast. The marathon, when you're well trained for it, is basically a 20-mile easy run followed by a hard 6 miles. That's like ideally how it should feel. I know it often doesn't feel that way, but when you're in your best shape and you run your PR and maybe you negative split at the end, it's like a 20-mile easy run and then a fast 6 miles. That's how my PR felt. The guys who just broke 2 hours in the marathon for the first time, Sebastian Sawe, Yomif Jelcha, that's pretty much how their race went. So if marathon training is basically just easy running with a little faster, running marathon pace, maybe some tempo, half marathon pace, and that's the bulk of it. If that's really all you're ever doing, you're building your endurance, yes, but you're never increasing your speed or your capacity to run fast. Sometimes I see with marathoners that they're actually afraid of shorter distances. They think it's going to hurt. They think it's going to be painful. They call things like the 5K fast. But the 5K is an endurance race. And everything is relative, of course, to the main distance that you're training for. So like the 5K, yeah, definitely is going to feel fast if you're training for the marathon primarily. But when I was focusing on the mile, the 5K actually felt pretty slow and like an endurance race. You need to do a lot of training at paces significantly faster than your goal race pace to make goal race pace feel more comfortable. People who just run slow all the time become slow runners. Mileage is important, yes. Marathon pace running is important. Tempo pace running is important. Lactate threshold paced running, all that sort of stuff is important. But when it comes to how good of a marathon PR you can achieve, it ultimately comes down to your speed. Yomif Kojelcha, who just broke 2 hours in the marathon, used to be the world record holder for the indoor mile. I was actually there in the race. It was pretty cool. It was at Boston University. Around the time I was starting to coach. And I think he broke like 350 for the mile. It was super fun to see. And now he just broke 2 hours in the marathon. If you can't run a fast mile, if you can't run a fast 5K, you can never run a fast marathon. Your body just can't move quick enough to do it. And this is applicable for runners at all levels. I would say, especially towards the people I was talking about earlier who never prioritize shorter distances. And when I speak of marathoners and when I speak to you as the audience, that's kind of the caricature I'm talking of. My audience primarily is passionate adults who got into running later in life, who want to be good at the marathon. They want to travel and do marathons. Maybe they want to BQ. Maybe they want to do all the world marathon majors. By and large, the biggest thing that cohort of people is missing is taking significant time to focus on speed development. So let me bring this back around to where I started. If you have time between marathon training cycles, you should make the most use of that time by doing speed training. The closer you get to your marathon, the more specific you need to be with marathon specific training. You have to do the long runs, the mileage, the tempo runs, the marathon paced runs. But if you're more than 4 months away from your marathon, you should absolutely be focusing on quality runs, faster paces over mileage, long runs, tempo runs. For a marathoner, what that should look like is 5K pace and faster, especially the faster than 5K pace stuff. So mile pace repeats, 200s and 400s are fine with full recovery. VO2 max style workouts, again, I would say probably the shorter the better in terms of reps. So VO2 max, 400s, 800s, Ks is probably good. Again, you want to be focusing on quality over quantity. And threshold is good to always keep, but shorter and faster thresholds, 400s, 800s, miles. But that's secondary to the true fast mile pace, 5K pace, intervals, and repetitions. You need to break out of the rut of just running slow and marathon pace, tempo pace all the time. You have to get your body used to running much faster than lactate threshold to build the biomechanics and develop a nervous system which can fire fast and create that body that has the mobility and strength to raise the floor of what a comfortable marathon pace is for you. I always say you want to get fast before you go far. And if you're a marathoner who just focuses on the marathon in half and you don't take the 5K seriously, use that time between marathons to really focus on getting faster. It's going to raise the floor of what a comfortable marathon pace is for you. And marathon pace is going to feel so much more comfortable in comparison to these faster paces, and you'll be able to hold it for a lot longer. I truly believe that approaching marathoning from a position of having the speed to run your goal time is the best way to do it. Build the speed first. Know you have the speed to run your goal time in the marathon. And then when you switch to focusing for marathon training, you can just focus on building your endurance to match the speed that you've cultivated in that separate speed focused training block. All right, I think I've gone on long enough. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you are watching the video feed and my microphone's been flickering on and out and that's annoying, just let me know. I think it's kind of fun to have this local track behind me. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the video. I think some people like to watch these. If you're just listening, that's fine. There's nothing in the video that's in this episode anyway that you need to see. And yeah, if you enjoy this show, please share it with your friends and anyone who might be interested in it. Word of mouth has always been the best way for me to share my message and find new folks to coach. I am with Boston and London wrapping up. I had a couple athletes go on break or leave me for coaching. So I'm looking to bring on a couple new athletes over the next month or so. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me, knightonruns@gmail.com, or just go to my website, knightonruns.com, and you can apply for coaching there. If you haven't joined my email newsletter yet, I suggest you do so. You can get a free copy of my book, Run Faster Marathons, The Proven Path to PR, by going there, signing up for the copy of the book, and you'll get on to my email list. That's my main communication channel. as well as my Instagram at Knighton Runs. But on the email list is where I really send out everything that I've been creating. Um, and yeah, that's the best way to follow along with what I'm doing. I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll plan to do the next one in a week. Probably these will come out on Thursdays. I might miss a week here and there, but that's okay. And if you have any feedback on the show, just let me know. Any topics you want me to talk about, just let me know. And yeah, I'm going to keep these kind of rough. Just talking, not going to edit these, I don't think. I know the video is a little funny. I don't really care about that. If it bothers you, just let me know. But I think it's fine. All right. Take care. Have a good week, and we'll talk soon. Happy running.